Hey YouTube, Alicia here with Alicia's Life. I'm back with another review of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 7, Episode 5. Let me just start by saying sorry this has taken so long to get up, but thank you guys for hanging in there and waiting for this. I've been traveling, I'm back in town, I'm trying to stay current, so hopefully after this week I'll be able to get these up in a more timely fashion. So thanks again for hanging in there with me, and let's get to this week's review. So this week we open up with Erica Jane again, and I think this is the third week in a row we've opened up with Erica Jane. She's in her closet with her choreographer. Is that her choreographer? Anyway, they're talking about her getting ready for her music video for her song Expensive that's going to be this week. So during this meeting, she decides to fill her choreographer in on what happened with the whole Pantygate. So sorry guys, I don't know his name. But he is obviously on Erica's side, and he also sees it from her point of view that and he says very logical things like, why didn't he say anything to her, or why didn't, she say something? So basically they kind of rehash it, and Erica has decided that Dorit is making this up. She doesn't really believe it happened, and she just maintains that. Erica also says in her confessional to us that had it been Dorit, she would have said something to her, and she thinks Dorit should have said something to her. So next we move on to Dorit, and she's getting ready for a dinner party that she's having at her house, and she's wearing a really pretty red dress, and she's showing it off for her husband and asking for his opinion on it, and he says she looks nice. She wants to know if the dress is appropriate for her since she's had children. Is it too short? And her husband says, well, compared to Erica Jane, it's quite long. Now the dress doesn't look that short. It looks, about a little bit above the knee. It looks fine. That comment was not called for, so here we have another house husband trying to get a role in the show. So we see Dorit buzzing around in the kitchen and talking to the different staff and everything, trying to make sure everything's going to be ready. And she says that she comes from a long line of women who serve and host. And then she says it started with her mother. And maybe she thinks her grandmother. So I was thinking, Dorit, are you sure? Because a long line, you would think you would start with like your great, 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 great grandmother, or even mention some aunts or somebody in there. So I think she was making that up to make herself sound like she really has all this experience with hosting. But whatever. So the party gets started. We see the guests arriving. We hear her husband talking to someone, his friends, I guess, and he sounds obnoxious. He says, it's good for the have-nots to see how the haves live. And that's just disgusting, y'all. Like, wow, what did y'all think about that? I just couldn't believe that he said that. So PK is not getting a favorable edit this season, apparently, because then we see Dorit walking around in her dress. It looked fine when she was modeling it with her husband, but for some reason when she's walking around through the party, it's like her dress was like hiked up to where it was like illegal length, like don't sneeze or bend over or you'll be another Erica Jane. It just seemed dangerously short, right? All of a sudden. So she's standing in the doorway and her back is to PK and he's outside with his friends and he calls to her and says, "Hey honey, I'm enjoying the view." So she turns around and smiles. Well, what he says is his friends also look at her, right? So then she bends over, y'all. She bends over to help him enjoy the view. And I'm like, keep it classy, Dorit. Keep it classy. So now they're at the dinner table, and PK suspiciously asks Lisa Rinna if she is very self-analytical. Who asks that question, especially at a dinner party? So obviously he's leading up to something. So Lisa Rinna, I don't know if she was expecting this or whatever, but for some reason she jumps right in with, "Oh yes, I am." And actually, as a matter of fact, and she starts talking about how she talked to Lisa Vanderpump last week and gave her this apology for being hard on her. Well, then PK starts to ask her questions about, well, what was it about? He didn't come right out at first and say, what was it about? He just, he said, why were you hard on her? Because Lisa Rinna said, I did apologize for being hard on her. And he said, why were you hard on her? So she tries to kind of skate around the issue. She doesn't want to get into the details, but he's like nosily asking. And it gets out of hand to me, to where all of a sudden, PK starts judging her and saying that she didn't let it go for a year and all this other stuff. And it becomes apparent, since he's friends with Lisa Vanderpump, obviously he had heard her side of the story. And he's kind of coming at Lisa Rinna in a judgmental fashion to kind of reprimand her for something that has nothing to do with him. So first, he starts to tell Lisa Rinna that she shouldn't have expectations of Lisa Vanderpump because he says, you can't put your head on somebody else's shoulders. Meaning that you can't just assume everyone's going to think the way you think and everyone's different and you shouldn't have these expectations on other people, which is true. But then he turns right around and accuses her of not letting it go for a year. And he says, well, I let things go immediately. So I'm thinking, well, didn't you just say you can't put your head on somebody else's shoulder? So now you're going to judge her? Whether or not she let it go in a year or a minute or whatever it is, that's her prerogative. She's a different person. So for you to judge her and say you've held on to it for a year and I wouldn't have done that, you're going against what you just got through lecturing her on. Lisa Rinna, super polite, she decides to change the subject. She tells him she's not going to give him the details on what exactly went on with her and Lisa Vanderpump, but she tries to talk about how her dad passed away and how that's given her a new perspective. So then, in the same conversation, she brings up the fact that Eileen has also lost 6 people in a year's time. She talks about how Eileen didn't let anybody know and that they had an event that came up and she decided to keep it to herself and just, go through with it, whatever. Well, right away, PK is like, that's not fair. She should have said something. And I'm thinking, that's not fair. That's this lady's personal business. She doesn't have to share that with anybody. And Lisa Rinna felt the same way. So while we have PK saying that Eileen should have said something, so is Dorit. Dorit's like, I 100% agree. She should have said something. It was so bizarre. Like, they're all in this lady's business. They weren't even compassionate. They were just like judging her for not saying anything. It was the strangest thing. Well, Lisa Rinna, I'm so proud of her for saying that people should be allowed to share what they want to share. And that is absolutely correct. She actually said everybody should have a choice in what they want to share. And that is true. So next we move on to Kyle, and she's in the kitchen with Alexia. We have a nice little family scene. Mauricio comes home from work and asks her if she's getting dinner ready, and she says, yes, of course. So they start chatting, right? Mauricio decides to tell them that he got a ticket. When they were all in Italy last year, he and Alexia were driving around in a Ferrari, which Mauricio says about 3 or 4 times, I got a ticket in Italy in Ferrari. He got a ticket for driving over the speed limit. Well, the ticket was €600. And I was like, €600? Like, for real? Like, oh my gosh. So Kyle is equally appalled, and Mauricio thinks it's hilarious, and so does Alexia. They think it's funny. So Kyle's upset because, of course, he's risking both of their lives by being reckless in Italy, and he just doesn't see it. He says, well, you have to be a baller to get a ticket at driving a Ferrari in Italy. Like, whatever. He was obviously proud of that, but good for Mauricio. So then we learn that Mauricio's business has really taken off. When Mauricio first started out, he had one little office with 4 agents in it. And now he's grown to 10 offices with 200 agents. And so that is incredible. So he is really doing well. He's super, super busy. And Kyle is busy too. So she starts to talk about how the both of them are really busy and, she really misses spending time with him and they want to, she wants to try to spend more time together and not be too busy where they can't spend time together anymore. So Mauricio says, well, then you have to stop buying stuff. And so she says, me? What about you? You buy stuff too. So basically, the issue is if they stop spending so much money, then they don't have to work as hard and they have more time for one another. So now I catch up with Eileen. She's home with Vince. And she starts to tell Vince that she got a text from Lisa Rinna catching her up on what happened at the dinner party. That PK and Dorit had a big reaction to the fact that Eileen did not share the fact that her mother passed away with the ladies before the reunion. And Eileen thinks that's very odd that they have an opinion at all, which it is odd. And so she has a plan. She has plans with Dorit later on to go hiking on the beach or walking on the beach. And so she's going to confront her at that moment to try to learn exactly what happened, what business is it of hers, basically. So now we finally see Lisa Vanderpump, and she and Kyle are going to a surgeon, dermatologist, whatever. And so on the way up there, Lisa Vanderpump, typical Lisa Vanderpump, she asks Kyle if she had to bonk someone's husband, who would it be? And so Lisa Vanderpump, she goes through all the different husbands, and she finally decides that she would choose Tom, Erica Jane's husband, which I thought was interesting because to me, you guys let me know if y'all have noticed this, there seems to be some sort of little harmless flirtation between the two of them. Every time Lisa Vanderpump was around him, he seems taken with her, like charmed by her. I'm not going to say he's like in lust with her or anything, but he seems charmed by her. He likes her, respects her, and she likes that. I think she likes to play with him. So I thought that was very interesting. Anyway, Kyle said that her choosing anybody would be a downgrade, so she didn't choose anybody. So then we move on to Lisa Rinna, and she's gone to a place called Sassoon Pilates, which is owned by Eden Sassoon, who's Vidal Sassoon's daughter. And Erica Jane joins them, and they have a workout and that kind of thing. Did y'all think that Eden looked kind of like Brandy? I thought she kind of Brandy Glanville, for anybody who's not really that up on the show. I thought she kind of did in certain angles, like quick scenes. She looked like her to me because I know when they showed like the upcoming scenes for the season back on episode 1, I thought initially it was Brandy, but it didn't. Anyway, so I think it's the eyes and the nose and the lips. They looked like Brandy. Anyway, so I digress. So anyway, they meet up and they do Pilates. And I'm not sure if Eden, I think she's a friend of the Housewives because I don't remember seeing her on the opening credits. She's not holding a diamond or anything. But let me know in the comments below if you guys know who she is or why she's on the show. It's clear she's going to get into it with somebody because I remember that from the trailer for the season, but I don't remember the details. So I'm interested in seeing. So we'll go back to Kyle and Lisa Vanderpump, and they're at this surgeon's office, and they're getting their treatments done. Kyle's getting her face done, and Lisa Vanderpump's getting her neck done, and that was very interesting because I don't know what they were having done, but it seemed to be a laser. I heard talk of burning and smelling of smoke. I don't know. I'm sure that wasn't comfortable, but they both seem to enjoy it, and they like the results because Kyle keeps saying they have to look really good because they live in Beverly Hills. So the day arrives where Eileen and Dorit meet up on the beach. And Dorit shows up in her new car. And they decide that even though it's very windy, they're going to make an attempt to do their walk. So they go walking down and it's just crazy windy. And Eileen's dress just like blows up, bless her heart. It's like a Marilyn Monroe moment where she's really just with all her might holding down the end of this dress. So in her confessional, Dorit makes a comment saying, "Thank God that Eileen wore underwear. I've seen enough hoo-ha in the last few days." And I was thinking, did she see Erica's hoo-ha? Because I know her husband said he did. But I thought that her husband told her, but I didn't think she saw it herself. It's irrelevant. I just thought about it. So if you guys know in the comments below, say so. It doesn't really matter. But that was a snide remark that Dorit made. So with the wind making the whole walk bust, they end up sitting at a picnic table. And Eileen opens up with the niceties and she invites her to a lunch at a friend's house who also lives in Malibu. And she says, "It's my friend Camille. Do you know Camille?" And she doesn't give a last name. She says, "Do you know my friend Camille?" So, of course, Dorit's like, "No, I don't know Camille." And then Eileen says, "Oh, well, she knows Lisa Vanderpump." And then she says, "Oh, you mean Camille Grammer?" And she said, "Yeah." I'm thinking, why wouldn't you say her last name? Like, is Camille on the level of Madonna or any other name-only artist like Rihanna, Beyonce, whoever? Because if you just told me Camille, I probably wouldn't think Grammar either. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. Maybe she thought with her being associated with the show, she should automatically clue into who might be coming and going. I don't know. Did you guys catch that? So then they start talking about the other night, and Eileen talks about how she felt bad for Erica Jane because it was clear she was embarrassed finding out that, Dorit's husband had seen up her dress, and then she realized everybody already knew about it. Everyone's in on the joke. So she tries to, talk about how compassionate she feels for Erica Jane. And Dorit kind of responds in, "Oh, well, these things happen" type of way. And then they segue into the dinner party because Eileen wants to address PK and Dorit judging her for not saying anything about her mother's death. So she brings it up, and Dorit is like, "What?" Like, she doesn't even know about the dinner party. She's like, "What? Dinner party?" And Eileen's like, "Yeah, the dinner party you had last week. Lisa Rinna was at your party, and you talked about my mother's death." Like, that's not something that is just a casual mention that you would forget. But Dorit's like, "I need you to remind me. I don't remember." And so Eileen is just shocked. And so she tries again, and she tries to explain it, and it's not going anywhere. Dorit is just like, "I don't know." And so in the confessional, she says she can't remember every little bit of conversation that happens at our dinner party because it didn't mean that much to her and PK. And I thought, that is so rude. Like, this is somebody that's come into your circle and her mother died. And it wasn't that long ago. And it didn't mean that much to you. You forget all about that. That is so strange. So do you guys believe her? Do you think she's completely lying and she just didn't want to get called on the carpet for her insensitivity? Or do you think she really didn't remember? Because I honestly think, to me, Dorit has a lot of airhead tendencies. And she says things like, "I come from a long line of, people with hosting." That's just one thing. But she said other things in the last couple episodes that makes me wonder, like, is she really an airhead? Is she, acting? Like, really, what's going on here? What did you think of that? I mean, it was strange. So Eileen gets frustrated and she decides, look, we're not going to get anywhere with this. And then Dorit kind of turns it around on Eileen because Eileen says, look, Lisa Rinna was the one who told me and she knew we were coming to walk today. And I thought I needed to bring it up or it'd be weird if I didn't bring it up. And then Dorit says, it's weirder that you actually brought it up. And they get into this exchange where Dorit's kind of getting aggressive a little bit and acting like Eileen should never have said anything about her own mother passing away, like it had nothing to do with Eileen. It was the strangest thing. So long story short, although Dorit is acting like she doesn't remember anything, she says, well, let me make sure I understand this. Basically, what you're saying is that your mother's death had nothing to do with your interaction with Lisa Vanderpump. And she goes, yeah, that's exactly it. And then Dorit says, why didn't you say so? Like she hadn't said that. I would be so frustrated too. So Eileen's good. I mean, I don't know. We gotta watch Dorit, man. I think she's sneaky, and I think that she's probably a liar and has her way of weaseling out of things. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't know the lady. This is what I'm seeing. Let me know in the comments below what y'all's impression of Dorit is. So then we're back to Lisa Rinna having lunch now with Eden and Erica Jane. It's after the Pilates class. And we learned that Eden has lost an older sister to overdose. And it turns out that this sister had actually acted with Kim, so she knew Kim Richards, Kyle's sister, and Robert Downey Jr. So she drops all these names, and then she talks about, how this is probably when the whole partying thing went on. People started, getting into drugs and stuff like that. And so we kind of start to see a deeper link between Eden and the group. So she's linked to Kim somehow. Well, through her older sister. So now we're back to Kyle. She stopped by the agency to bring lunch to Mauricio, and two of her daughters work there, Alexia and Farah. So Kyle says it's the only way that she can see her family, so she doesn't mind bringing them lunch. So again, Kyle is telling Mauricio about how she wants to have balance in their life because he's really busy with his agencies, and she's busy. She's got the show. She has her scripted show. She's opened a 6th store, y'all. Like, wow. Are y'all shopping at her store? Have y'all been in there? Let me know in the comments below what you think about her style if you do go there. I've seen the little clips on the show, but I don't live in any of those states where she's opened stores, so I haven't seen them. Although, just came from California. I really should have stopped in there to check out her store. I didn't even think about it till right now. Anyway, I digress. So basically, she's saying that she wants more balance between her and Mauricio. In their relationship, and she's talking about the difference between men and women, how he's focused on his job and she's focused on the kids and then him, and then her work is third. And he basically tells her, yeah, I agree with that. I'm busy, so you need to support me being busy because that's your priority. That's the priority list we agreed upon. And at first I was like, what is he saying? But then I think I get it. Clearly, since her work is not the breadwinner of the family and his is, he's telling her, well, you need to support me because I'm the one doing all the heavy lifting here, because for you, your work is third, and somebody has to pay for this house in Beverly Hills. So we get to see Camille, y'all. Camille's back as a friend of the housewife. She's not a housewife. So I'm happy we get to see Camille. She's really come a long way from season 1. Don't y'all think? When she was nasty. She was nasty. That divorce really humbled Camille. And I like her. I like her now. I didn't like her back then, but I like her now. She's in a new house. It's beautiful. I love the Spanish tile. She talks about how her other house was the guest house was 8,000 square feet, and the main house was 9,000 or something like that. And then, with her being a single mom of 2 kids, it was just too much house. So she bought this house. It's all hers, and she's excited to have her own, which is great. Always have your own. Always have your own. Anyway, so she's in a good place. She said she beat cancer. She's passed her divorce, and she's very happy to have this place that's all hers. She says that things between Kelsey and her are still frosty. When the door is closed, the door is closed. So they're not even friends, y'all. He's gone on. He's not even acting like he wants to be friends at all. Well, that's fine. Whatever. In addition to the new house, it looks like Camille has a new assistant named Kimber. What happened to Dee Dee? That was her friend employee. What happened to her? Hope she's all right. So this is the day of Camille's lunch that Eileen had invited Dorit to, and people start to arrive, and Eileen is first, and then Dorit shows up, and then Erica Jane shows up. And she greets Dorit warmly like it's nothing, just a big hug and the kiss thing, and everything seems like it's going really well. So things advance. They all eventually go outside. They sit down to eat and they start talking. And Eileen brings up Erica Jane's music video, and she's asking if she's going to have a rehearsal on Friday. Well, Erica Jane says, well, actually, we're shooting the video on Friday. So Dorit says, what video is this, Erica? And the way she said it, y'all, did y'all pick up on the tone of voice? It wasn't out of curiosity. It wasn't like, wow, what kind of video are you doing, Erica? It was like she was a mother and she was reprimanding a wayward child. What video is this, Erica? It was just strange. So Erica, if she picked up on it, she didn't let on. She just starts saying, oh, she's shooting a video for her newest song that's coming out or whatever. So then Dorit starts asking questions about how does it work and that kind of thing, even though she's supposedly in the industry. And in her confessional, she totally shades the heck out of Erica, saying, I don't know what kind of career she has in music, but I hang around Boy George all day, every day, because he's my house guest. And I think it's probably more of a hobby that Erica Jane is doing. Now, you already know. Erica Jane, I haven't been on Twitter tonight. And this has been a week, actually, so I haven't been on it at all. So I have no idea how Erica Jane reacted to this. But I am aware of the feud in social media between the two. So I need to get caught up on that bit. Because, I don't know what's happened with Dorit. I think maybe the producers got in her ear because at this luncheon, she kind of switched. She went from being the innocent, doe-eyed, or, new person to kind of becoming like the villain. And I don't know if people are saying things about her to her, making her become this way, but she turns nasty. So at the end of the day, Dorit is throwing shade, and Erica starts to pick up on it. And so Erica was saying how great it is that she's able to do this career when, she's an older person and she normally wouldn't. And so first Dorit says, well, what do you mean? You're a young girl. And Erica says, I'm not a young girl. I'm in my mid-40s. So then Dorit says, well, when you get into mid-40s, don't you notice that has come with more confidence and you can do more things? And so Erica shuts her down and says, you've only been 40 for a week. What are you talking about? So they all laugh, and, Erica laughs it off too. And, but you could see that things are starting to really get to Dorit. Something happened after that hike. Something happened, or the sit down at the picnic table, because Camille brings up the walk and she says, did y'all get to walk the other day or whatever? And so Eileen says, oh, we tried to. And so then Dorit brings up the whole discussion about Eileen's mom. And she says, listen, I'm sorry. She didn't say I'm sorry, but she does say she wasn't trying to be dismissive. She wasn't trying to come off as dismissive. And so they start to kind of really rehash it a little bit. And Erica jumps in and she kind of clarifies again for Dorit that the deaths of Eileen's mother and Lisa Rinna's father had nothing at all to do with what happened with Lisa Vanderpump. So Dorit turns on Erica and is like, that's your interpretation of what Eileen is saying, basically. And Erica's like, that's my point of view because I was there. Boom, girl. Who do you think you are? So she's, sort of shut down, but not really. So then Eileen starts to say it again, like, yeah, she's trying to explain and, whatever. And Dorit cuts her off. Let me finish. Just something's going on with Dorit. I don't know. I'm telling y'all, something happened. Either a producer got in her ear, because otherwise she would not be this aggressive and hostile toward these ladies. She's unnecessarily defensive. And so it's to be continued. So there's more to come. That's the end of this week's episode. And next week, or in a couple of days, really, we're going to find out what is going on. And we see in the previews for next week that Kim Richards is back. Why is Kim Richards back on the show, y'all? But she's back on the show. And it should be a good one. So let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode. And thanks again for watching, you guys. I'm so sorry for the delay. I am trying to get on a schedule. And please stick with me. Please continue to watch. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Be sure to comment down below so we can talk about this week's. And come back, you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. I can't speak. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and tell your friends and come back. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.